and welcome to Flyer Nation, your source for the latest news in the world of Lewis athletics. Thanks for joining us today on LUTN. I'm Shane Gustafson.
And I'm Natalie Budig. Joining us later on in the show is Lewis head men's volleyball coach Dan Friend. He'll talk about his team's success this season as well as their big matchup against Loyola this week.
But before we get to that, let's take a look at some other Lewis Flyer headlines. The Lewis women's basketball team is returning home after having a very successful weekend road trip and gaining a higher position in the national rankings as well as in their conference. However, the games were anything but easy for the Lady Flyers, who had to battle against yet another nationally ranked team. Last Thursday night, the Flyers traveled to Indianapolis to take on the Greyhounds, who held a national ranking of number 18 in the country. The Flyers and the Greyhounds started the game with the same season record, and it showed when the teams hit the court. Despite Jamie Johnson knocking down a career-high 29 points and Mariah Henley picking up her 17th double-double of the season, the Flyers took the Greyhounds into triple overtime. The game was tied at 100 at the beginning of the third overtime period when Jess Reinhardt, Henley, and Johnson combined to put the Flyers up by 7. The team was able to maintain the lead throughout the rest of the overtime period and came away with the victory 111 to 105. With the win, the Flyers moved to number 20 in the country and first in their division. However, the weekend didn't stop there. The Flyers traveled to Rensselaer, Indiana on Saturday to take on St. Joseph's in another hard-fought game. This time it was Kristen Itchner to the rescue, putting up a shot off of a steal with just 34 seconds left in the game. The Flyers came away with their second win of the weekend with a final score of 79 to 73. Head coach Lisa Carlson says these wins were huge for her team, and she is very proud of how they battled against Indianapolis.
A lot of crazy things happened, but bottom line is we came out on top at the end, and it was fun. And then turned around on Saturday at St. Joe against a St. Joe team that is a lot better than they have been. I thought they played a good ball game, but again, we found ways late in the game to stay on top.
The women are back in action this weekend as they welcome Rockhurst to the Neil Carey Arena. Tip-off is set for 5:30 on Thursday and 1 o'clock on Saturday. Let's take a look at the current rankings in the GLVC for the ladies. They're currently sitting in first place after picking up the big win over Indianapolis. The Greyhounds now move to second, while Southern Indiana is in third place.
The Lewis men's basketball team hit the road last weekend as well, trying to continue their 3-game winning streak over nationally ranked teams. But unfortunately for the Flyers, the streak came to an end against the number 10 team in the country. The Flyers traveled to Indianapolis last Thursday night to take on the Greyhounds in a conference matchup. The men were led by junior guard Jeff Jarosz, who picked up 16 points on the night, and junior Julian Lewis added 13 points, shooting 6 for 8 from the field. Later in the game, however, Indianapolis switched to a zone defense, and the Flyers weren't able to keep up with it. The Flyers also had a season-high 17 turnovers, which turned into 29 Greyhound points. The Flyers dropped the contest 80 to 66. On Saturday, the Flyers traveled to St. Joseph's to take on the Pumas, and the game was a little bit better for the Flyers. Junior Julian Lewis put up 11 points on the night, while Gabe Williams tied a season high with 10 points. The Flyers picked up the victory over St. Joe's 85 to 76. Head coach Scott Trost says the game was a hard-fought battle, but overall the Flyers played a good game.
Give them credit. I thought they played very, very well. And then came back, rebounded, and had a good response against St. Joe's over there, which is a difficult place to play. I thought, very workmanlike game, and did a good job taking care of the ball, made some shots, and was glad to come out of there with a win.
The men will be back in action on this weekend at home against Rockhurst and William Jewell. Tip-off is set for 7:30 on Thursday and 3 o'clock on Saturday. Let's take a look at the men's team's overall rankings in the GLVC East standings. The Flyers are sitting in third place just behind Indianapolis. UW Parkside lost a game this past weekend, but still have the best record and still sit in first in the conference.
The number 10 Lewis men's volleyball team extended their winning streak to 6 after coming away with a 3-0 sweep over Missouri Baptist last Thursday night at the Neil Carey Arena. Redshirt sophomore outside hitter Will McCall led the Flyers offense, hitting 402 sets of action. Redshirt junior outside hitter Jeff Powell added 6 kills and 3 block assists, and junior Greg Petty added 4 kills, 2 blocks, and an assist. Redshirt sophomore opposite Patrick Lilly collected 4 kills on the night and a service ace. The Flyers didn't allow the Spartans to win a single set throughout the night. Head coach Dan Friend says the Flyers played well and he is happy with their victory.
Going into it, we had some goals just to get a little bit better, again from the offensive side, and we were able to put our first group in. Those guys did a nice job in the first game. Second game, we made a few miscues, had a few changes, but the guys were able to fight back and put themselves in a good position. And third game, put in a couple other different guys at the same time, and just all in all, the team had a great team effort, and I think both from a defensive standpoint, we did some nice things.
The Flyers will be back in action on Wednesday night as they open conference play against the #1 team in the country, Loyola. First serve is set for 7 o'clock.
Both Lewis track and field teams traveled to Michigan last weekend to take place in the GVSU Invitational and proved why they have such a high national ranking. The women placed 4th overall, with 3 ladies collecting NCAA provisional marks. Freshman Stephanie Nielsen and Amanda Farrow came away with marks in the 800-meter run, while senior Megan Marchildon placed 3rd overall in the 60-meter hurdles. The nationally ranked number 11 men's squad also placed 4th in the competition and had 4 overall NCAA provisional marks. Sophomore Adam Barr set a school record in the weight throw competition, while junior Matt Jamilo and freshman Sean Milhauser came away with marks in the 800-meter run. Both teams will be back in action on Friday when they head to Indiana to participate in the U-Indy Relay Open.
Both Lewis tennis teams went on the road this past weekend to take on Cardinal Stritch, and both came away with early season victories. This was the second match of the season for the women's team, and 5 different ladies came away with 2 victories. The women were able to outduel the Wolves and came away with an 8-1 victory. For the men's team, the matchup marked the first of the 2014 season, and 3 Flyers came away with 2 victories each. The men were able to outlast the Wolves as well and came away with a 5-2 victory. Both teams will be back in action on February 14th as they travel to Ohio to take on Malone and Walsh.
The GLVC announced last week that the Lewis baseball team has been selected as the favorite to win the Eastern Division title for the 2014 season. The Flyers are coming off of a successful 2013 campaign, which brought them 33 wins, the GLVC Eastern title, and their 2nd straight NCAA Midwest Regional. The baseball team opens their season on February 21st in Nashville. Meanwhile, the Lewis softball team has been selected by the GLVC as the favorite to come in 2nd place for the 2014 season. The ladies are coming off of a 2013 season which brought them 31 wins, a spot in the GLVC tournament, and a place in the NCAA Midwest Regional. The softball team starts their season on February 22nd against Wayne State.
We're going to take a quick break here on Flyer Nation, but when we come back, we'll have Lewis head men's volleyball coach Dan Friend. Stay tuned.
Well, with a runner on first base. Now the big guy comes off the bat, hitting .342 with 92 RBIs and 36 homers. First pitch is fouled between
Chill raw and prepared foods promptly. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Oh! Checking your fantasy league?
Nah, just my 401k statement.
Nice. Where'd you find the money for that?
I just been saving a little every month.
I can't seem to save anything.
Well, what about all this? What about the money you're spending?
What money? It's gone before I can get my hands on it.
I got a pizza for a Todd.
Hey, can somebody spot me?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
It's 547.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
In 1978, 6 institutions joined to form one of the nation's top NCAA Division II conferences. Today, this union has expanded to 16 proud members celebrating 35 years of commitment to the classroom, championships, and the community. Pioneers who paved the way, leaders who emerged from within. Progress made possible by people. Today, it's those people that inspire the next generation to guide us forward in the next 35 years. We are the Great Lakes Valley Conference.
Good one, son.
Last summer, my new dad took me on vacation. First, we went deep sea fishing. Wow!
I'm so proud of you, son.
And then we went on Thunder Shark.
That was awesome! Let's go again!
3 times. I gotta say, it was pretty cool.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Oh, not again.
Welcome back to Flyer Nation. Joining us now is Lewis head men's volleyball coach Dan Friend. Thanks for joining us today, Coach.
Shane, thanks for having me. It's a privilege.
Yeah, no problem. So let's start talking about the season a little bit. You're only about a month into the season, but it's been a pretty tough one so far. You first couple of games against UCI and BYU, 2 of the top teams in the country, going on the road and taking on top teams in the country. What's it like so far to take on such tough opponents?
Well, I think the guys expect that. I think over the past 3 or 4 years, we've been scheduling pretty tough right out of the gates. The nice thing about this year is we were home. We got Irvine at home and BYU at home, and even though school wasn't in session, still had 800 plus fans there, and it was a great atmosphere. Got a great win against BYU. It was a good battle against Irvine, and then we went on the road to Stanford and Pacific. Stanford was 4, and it was a good battle, and we knew we were right there. And then by rebounding with Pacific and 1 and 3, and then played a couple Conference Carolinas, went out east and played Harvard, and they're ranked top 15, so that was a great win to get. And then we were back home last Thursday in front of the home crowd, which is always great, and got a win against Missouri Baptist. And so we're looking forward to starting conference play. We're in a good spot. We're 7-2, ranked 10th in the country, and getting better every week.
So you talk about the tough teams this week, this Wednesday, taking on Loyola, the #1 team in the country. They're coming here to the Neil Carey Arena. What's it like to take on the #1 team here at home?
Well, I think we look at it as taking on Loyola. So it's granted they've had a great start to their season and they're ranked #1. So it definitely puts even a little bit more of a stigma out there in the sense of playing that team. But I think we played Loyola to go to the Final Four last year and lost a tough one in 5. Year before we played them in the semifinals to get there. I think so. It's always a big rivalry and a big match. And so whether they're ranked 1 or not ranked or we're ranked, it doesn't really matter. They're coming in. It's a big conference game for us, and we're excited to have it at home first and open up.
Let's talk about some of the guys on the team. Greg Petty was named last week the Player of the Week by the MIVA. We also saw Jacob Schmiegelt get a Player of the Week award. What's it like to have guys out there winning awards and seeing them out on the floor competing really hard every night?
Well, I think it's a tribute to the team. When those guys get those individual awards, it's based on that team concept. Other things have to happen, and then those guys have great individual performances. Greg getting the AVCA National Player of the Week was awesome, and then Schmiegel getting Defensive Player of the Week as a freshman. He's just going into his first year of competing, and then Bob got one a couple weeks before that at the same time. So we've already had a couple guys have been honored, and it's great to see that. It's great for the team, and I think guys will get more as the season goes on.
So we talked about some of these guys getting a lot more playing time. We saw a couple of weeks ago, again, I believe in the game against Sacred Heart, it was Will McCall who got a lot of playing time. So what's it like getting some of the players that maybe didn't play much last year playing time this year?
Well, it speaks about our depth. I think this year we're more mature as an entire group, and we've got some depth, and we've been able to get some guys in that have been working hard in the gym and get them some playing experience. And we got to do that against Sacred Heart. We got to do that against Erskine. We played that whole second group, and they were great. They battled hard and got a great win. We were able to get Will had some great swings against Missouri Baptist and some granted good time for us. And so we've been seeing those guys plugged in: Hoffman, Will McCall, Eric Butch, Patrick Lilly, Scott Pfeiffer. All those guys have really contributed day and day, but to get them some game time, it makes those guys feel even better and to contribute even more.
You talked about the team being on the road a lot, going out to California, going out to places that a lot of the other teams here at Lewis don't really get to do. And one thing that is always brought up, especially around the athletics department and other places, is the Facebook pages and social media lights up when you guys go on the road.
Right.
It seems like you guys have a lot of fun on the road.
We do. I think our guys enjoy themselves, both on the road and at home. And I think you can see that by just watching the bench. Our bench is fantastic. And so the whole team really does stay involved, and they bring a ton of energy. And I think we preach that. I think one of my philosophies is to have fun and enjoy yourself, because otherwise you're not going to get better and you're not going to enjoy the experience. And it is about the experience. I mean, ultimately we want to go out and win a national championship, and we want to compete and win every day. But I think the guys enjoy doing that, which makes the sport that much funner. And so we even do little things when we're on the road. Like last year we went to the Price is Right. We've gone to Times Square before. We've taken the guys to the Jay Leno show. So all those little things kind of add up, and I think creates a better experience for the student athlete.
So we talked about having fun, and it seems like every night that there's a game here at Lewis, it's some sort of theme night. Is that something that you guys decide to do?
Well, I think me and Brian Summers both sat down or a few years back and said, hey, I want to get as many themes as possible. And Brian's been a big component of that and been able to work with me on that. So we keep bouncing ideas, and I think it's worked great. And having Flyer Nation and having all the other groups that kind of support that stuff really makes it go off at the same time. I think we had a hashtag to vote on for what our theme was going to be Wednesday. I think it's going to be costume night. So make sure everybody brings their costumes and brings good ones for the Loyola match. So.
Oh, costume night. I'll have to dress as a TV host.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. You maybe could be the Flyer guy here.
Yeah, there you go. I'll have to find that costume later on somewhere. So let's talk about you for a couple of minutes. You've been selected for the second year in a row as an assistant coach for the USA High Performance Men's Junior team. What's it like to be selected not just 1 year, but 2 years in a row?
I actually, believe it or not, it's been like 4 years. So I've done 2 world championships as an assistant coach for the youth team. 2 years ago, I was a head coach for the youth team for Norsekas. And then this year, I'm going to be the assistant for the junior team. So I've had the privilege to work with USA Volleyball for about 8 to 9 years, and it's really an honor and a privilege anytime you get to wear those letters on your jacket, on your shirt, any of that stuff. And then to get to work with some of the best young talent in the country, I feel honored. And so to get to do that and represent both Lewis and our country at the same time, just puts the word out there for Lewis a little bit at the same time. I just enjoy it. It's a way to give back to the sport and make those kids better and get to compete at a high level.
So we talked about the team being back in action Wednesday against Loyola. Fans coming out to the Neil Carey Arena. What are some of the things they can expect?
Well, I think you're going to expect a great match. Hopefully everybody can make it out. I know it's supposed to snow some more. It's going to be cold, but it's going to be hot in the gym. And so, doors open, I think, at 5:30. And so get there as soon as possible, watch warm-ups, cheer the guys on. And I think it's going to be a great battle against a great team. And so I look forward to it.
All right, Coach, anything else you'd like to add while you're here today?
No, I think men's and women's basketball home too this weekend, and so make sure you come out and see those guys. But I think as much support the athletics can get is always great, and I think we've got great fans out there, so thanks again.
All right, well, thanks so much for coming out today, Coach.
Okay, thanks, Shane.
All right, stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back here on Flyer Nation.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
All right, you ready for some baseball trivia?
Let's do it.
What year produced the most no-hit games in the big leagues?
7 no-hitters in 1990.
Wow, that's right. Now a question that's not trivial. How many children will witness bullying this year?
Huh.
The answer? 3 out of 4.
75%?
That's
Wow.
right. How many of them will say something?
Kids want to help, but don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov.
They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. We beg to differ. They are snapshots that represent lasting memories, stories to be told for years to come. Our story is one pictured not just with trophies, but with diplomas, friendships, a helping hand. New chapters beginning every season. This is the story of the Great Lakes Valley Conference.
Can you help me with this? My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
He helps me with homework.
That would be 3.6795.
Thanks.
Yep.
He helps me with my decision making.
I wouldn't use this one. Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
I'm learning so much.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Welcome back to Flyer Nation. As always, we have some awards and recognition to give away, and we will start with the College Sports Information Directors Association naming Jamie Johnson of the women's basketball team to the 2014 Academic Women's First Team. Johnson is a communications major at Lewis and currently holds a 4.0 GPA. With this award, she is now eligible for an Academic All-American Award. The Great Lakes Valley Conference announced last week that sophomore Isaac Jean-Paul has been selected as the GLVC Indoor Track and Field Athlete of the Week. Jean-Paul is the third straight Flyer to win this award, and Jean-Paul spent last season competing for Harper College before transferring to Lewis and competing well for the Flyers last weekend at the GVSU Invitational as well as the IWU Classic Invitational 2 weeks ago.
It's time to announce our Flyer Nation Player of the Week, and just like last week, we have 2 choices for our top picks. We'll start with Mariah Henley from the women's basketball team. She's our first Player of the Week for her hard work in last week's game against Indianapolis. Henley recorded her 17th double-double of the season and helped with 43 points on the weekend. Henley has shown dedication to the Flyers team as well as leadership on the floor, making her this week's Player of the Week. We would also like to give our Athlete of the Week award to Adam Barr of the Lewis men's track and field team. Barr set a provisional mark in the weight throw competition for the 4th straight week and set a school record for the 2nd week. Barr has been named the GLVC Player of the Week after the Lewis Invitational earlier this season. Head track and field coach Dana Schwartig told the GLVC that Barr is a key member of the team. We'll expect to give out more awards later on in the week. Be sure to check out lewisflyers.com for the latest information about your Flyer awards. So good to see all of those Flyers getting awards there.
Yeah, congrats to all of them, especially the one who was able to keep a 4.0, especially while traveling and, you know, all the practices. And there's so much more that goes into an athlete than people see.
I know.
It's more than games and showing up to practice.
Right, and to have that 4.0, that tells you something.
Yeah, I'm sitting there waiting for my 4.0.
Yeah,
so
am I. Still hasn't happened. Well, anyways, we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back right here on LUT.
Discover Lewis University and discover more.
It was a great school, small class sizes, one-on-one attention.
The professors are able to give you their real-world experience.
You have nursing majors who are in simulation labs, aviation majors that are flying overhead.
I go back to my Lewis University security force days and tell them this is my foundation and this is how I train.
Lewis's 5 campuses made it convenient for me as a working adult.
Grow, learn, and succeed at Lewis University.
They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. We beg to differ. They are snapshots that represent lasting memories, stories to be told for years to come. Our story is one pictured not just with trophies, but with diplomas, friendships, a helping hand. New chapters beginning every season. This is the story of the Great Lakes Valley Conference.
You know what, guys? There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
We have a lot of Lewis athletic events coming up this week, so why not come out and support your Flyers? Let's take a look at what's coming up. On Wednesday, we have the men's volleyball team taking on the #1 team in the country, Loyola, as the Flyers open up MIVA play. First serve is set for 7 o'clock p.m. On Thursday, both Lewis basketball teams are at home taking on Rockhurst. The women's matchup begins at 5:30 while the men play at 7:30. And on Friday, the Lewis men's volleyball team is back in action, this time against conference opponent McKendree. First serve for that match is set for 7 o'clock. All of these games can be seen right here on LUTN Channel 6, as well as heard on our radio station, WLRA 88.1 FM.
Don't forget to check your Lewis email accounts for the weekly flight plan email, which keeps you up to date on upcoming games, both home and away. Also, the Lewis men's volleyball team is looking for a theme night for this Wednesday's competition against Loyola. Any fan who has an idea for a special theme is encouraged to follow the men's team on Twitter and send your ideas using the hashtag #LUThemeNight. Your ideas might be used on Wednesday.
Well, it'll be kind of cool to see your idea actually put into place.
Yeah, I'm interested to see all the different themes. I'm trying to think of some, and I can't think of anything that creative.
I think Coach Friend said costume night.
Costume night.
That'll be interesting.
We should have our broadcasters then dress in costumes.
We should.
That
would be cool, yeah.
That would be fun.
I'm all down for it. All down for it? I'm down for it.
You're down for it? Oh, good.
Well, anyways, that just about wraps it up for us here today on Flyer Nation. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you join us again next week when swimming coach Roger Carnes stops by.
All of us here at Flyer Nation hope you have a great day. We'll see you next time right here on LUTN.
We have so much to celebrate in Division II, but we're especially proud of our commitment to Make-A-Wish.
Division II student athletes have led a 10-year initiative to raise funds and help grant wishes of children with life-threatening medical conditions.
Nearly $3 million have been raised, and hundreds of children's wishes have been granted.
We play hard, we work hard, and we support others in need. Why? It's simple.
Because we care.